This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. Thanks everyone for making the Tilton Budget Committee.
Like
This-
for the recording.
Sure.
Hey all, it's Ted.
Ted's here.
What was that?
Ted is present.
Oh,
Ted's
great,
with us.
great, Ted.
Yay.
So, Ted is Christine?
Yeah?
Okay, great, great, okay. Well, the time being 7:02, we're calling the October 14th, 2020 meeting of the Tilton Budget Committee to order. Before we get started, if you are participating by phone or the GoToMeeting platform, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. The zoning board is meeting at Town Hall and providing access via GoToMeeting and conference call to enable the public to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting. Is that the zoning board we're supposed to be telling about that?
It might help if you thought when you're talking to take your mask off.
Okay.
But if it's convenient.
You gotta pull this mic, you gotta eat the mic.
So the zoning board is also meeting tonight? Is that what?
No, it's just the.
Okay, well, that's on the sheet for some reason, but, okay.
I thought we were talking.
Additionally, there is an opportunity for the public to attend the meeting in person. However, in order to maintain social distancing, only 8 spaces are available, and attendance is on a first come, first served basis. Once the maximum limit has been reached, anyone wishing to participate in the meeting must do so remotely. If anyone has a problem with remote access to the meeting, please email web@tiltonnewhampshire.org, which will be monitored during the meeting. Okay, so the first on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands under God, with liberty and justice. Thank you. I guess we will review / approve minutes of October 7th, 2020. I did miss that meeting, so I will not vote.
I got some tiny just mistakes. First line, my last name is spelled wrong.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The first line, my last name is spelled wrong. And then down on roll call, you put R.Olson, supposed to be D.Olson. Yeah, and then before I forget, I went to the other business part on D,
I'm sorry, here.
other business on the back, page 5, D. That sponsors were declined. We forgot that part in that statement.
I'm sorry, where are you again?
Line D.
Line D.
Line D, other business, A, B, C,
Yes, other business.
and sponsors were declined.
Oh, well. Remove that.
No, they were supposed to be, we declined sponsors.
You're on page 5, correct?
Yes, 5, line D. Olson added, before approval, there are
Oh,
multiple
that's
sponsors.
D. Olson.
Yeah.
Dick Olson.
Just, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sponsors were declined. That's what I wanted added to that line. Thank you.
Something else?
No, everything else is great. Good job. It's a lot of minutes. Very accurate.
Is there a motion to accept the changes?
I put a motion.
You move. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against?
Aye.
And who made?
And Bitsby, aye.
Okay, so in the roll call vote, we also have Ted and Christine voting aye.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you.
And
Okay.
thank you. Okay, so now we will get to the outside agency presentations. Thank you all for coming. We're going to start with, have you all signed in? I think we normally have a sign-in sheet.
I'll have them come.
Okay, yeah. I guess we're beginning with New Beginnings and Kathy Keller and Director and Shauna Foster. So, yes.
The New Beginnings, sorry.
And you are?
I'm Shauna Foster.
Shauna Foster. Is Kathy Keller here too?
She is not. It will just be me tonight.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me okay with the mask on?
Sure can, just eat the mic for us. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
This New Beginnings, that's fine.
And I guess we could introduce ourselves to you. We have two that are online, Ted Gargano and Christine Domzitsky. I am Chair Bill Lawrence, Kathy Dawson, Dick Olson, and John Scanlon.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm Shauna Foster. I'm the Program Manager at New Beginnings. We're your local domestic and sexual violence crisis center. We're one of 13 member programs of the New Hampshire Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. We provide 24-hour emergency advocacy, accompaniment, shelter, and support to Belknap County residents, including Tilton residents. That includes accompaniment to Lakes Region General Hospital and Franklin Hospital for sexual assault forensic examinations, for cases where victims of domestic violence have been hospitalized, emergency shelter for victims of intimate partner violence who are fleeing imminent danger, court accompaniment that begins with the restraining order process and can follow a court process for over a year through criminal charges, divorce, child custody, parenting plans, etc. Support groups for children, teens, and adults, emotional support and peer advocacy, referrals to community resources. We partner heavily with DCYF and the Child Advocacy Center on cases where there's a co-occurrence of domestic and sexual violence and child abuse or neglect. And just this year, we also started a transitional housing program that has served 2 residents of Tilton so far. That is not a brick and mortar style program. It's a housing first style program, which means that participants screen in. We do financial empowerment and budgeting programming to see what type of apartment or house they would eventually be able to afford with the right supports. And we subsidize their rent for up to 2 years while they get reintegrated into the community. So that may be saving better, getting employment, finding childcare, saving for a vehicle. So we sort of provide that leg up. They're the leaseholder. We teach them basic tenancy 101 type skills and provide in-home supports over the lifetime of the program. And we're partnering with Navigating Recovery on that. So victims who have a history of substance use disorder are getting specialized supports in that area as well. We do also provide prevention education programming in all of these school districts countywide. And we're coming up with creative ways of still delivering that during the COVID pandemic. Our model of services have changed quite a bit, as I'm sure everyone's have. We've been working mostly remotely. We did just start returning to the office over the summer, and we're slowly doing more and more in person. Our service numbers initially declined. We saw fewer new victims, but our number of services for existing victims increased greatly. People were needing a lot more support. Anecdotally, the last 3 weeks have been very, very busy with, I think, fallout from people being isolated for the past several months. So increase in substance use issues, increase in child custody issues, a lot of court response, and a lot of victims seeking shelter.
Great. Is there anything substantially new from last year when you came in, or is this all pretty much the same?
It's all largely the same. The real addition that is noticeable in the financials especially is that transitional housing program. So it looks like we have $300,000. That's a 3-year grant. So it's mostly in and out. It pays for half of an advocate, so 20 hours a week of a housing advocate. and the rest of it is subsidizing rent. So we don't have the funds in our account. We request it from our federal funder on an as-needed basis and then distribute it directly to landlords for the program.
Now, you were looking for a local office last year, weren't you? Yeah, did that ever materialize?
We were meeting with landlords in March, so it did not.
Okay.
We have the funding to do it. We're still interested.
Uh-huh.
We're just trying to decide if it's the right time to open up another office, if things are going to shut down again.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our advocates on the days that they're remote are providing a community-based response to services. So we have someone who lives in Alton. Anything that happens in Alton, she's meeting with people in coffee shops, at the police department, in parks. I live right up the street on School Street. So similarly, for Tilton residents, I've been meeting with them in the community. And it's worked out fine so far.
Great, great. Anybody else on the board?
Yeah, you guys are asking for $1,575.
Yeah.
Is this going to affect your services if we did not fund this at all?
We will still provide the same services to residents of Tilton. We will not decline service based on whether a town chooses to fund us. I will say that every dollar makes a difference, even though that's a relatively small amount compared to some of the other funding sources that you'll see on there. We use every penny that we get to provide whatever service that we use in the county.
Are you familiar with some of your lines on here? Are you pretty familiar with your whole operating budget?
Yes.
It's almost $1 million.
And that again, it looks much higher than it actually is because of that 3-year grant. So we're not touching most of
No,
that.
your operating budget though is with your liabilities and your whole assets is over $1 million.
yes.
So just want to put that in perspective too. It's $1 million that you guys have.
What is the municipalities portion of your budget? I didn't be able to go through all these, but
It's a small percentage. It's just over $15,000 total. Barnstead and Samberton generally do not fund us, but we try every year.
and how many do you solicit?
All of the 10 towns in the city of
10,
Laconia.
okay.
This wouldn't affect your services or funding or at all your bottom line this year, correct?
Correct.
Anybody else have, before we open it to the public?
Hey, Bill, Christine.
Okay, Christine.
I didn't hear how many other towns contributed into this 15,000.
10.
There's
10?
10, right?
10 towns in the city of Laconia are solicited.
And the city of Laconia.
Yeah.
So 11.
11 total. Barnstead and Samberton generally do not fund us. We have not heard about this year from them.
Did you get them?
Yes, and I have another question for her. On the current assets at ending June 30th, obviously they're way up compared to usual. So I'm assuming that's attributed to the extra funds you got for PPP, and I forget what the other one was in here, but these funds were not used, it looks like, in 2020, because I don't have anything unless it's on another sheet after June 30th.
We did receive a PPP loan that we were eligible to start spending on May, I believe it was May 7th. So we did not, much of that had not been dipped into by June 30. We received a couple of increases from some state funders and federal funders that were restricted to emergency services, so long-term hotel stays, and financial support that we generally would not provide, that needs that arose because of the pandemic.
Does one of these reports show what funds are restricted? Because I don't see that.
I don't know that there's anything that says which are restricted and which are not. I can tell you.
Okay.
There is on a page, it does say what they've spent so much money on the grant so far. That helps clarify.
What page is that?
It was, I was just looking, I think it's, were we out of the 5 in our binder? 2? Sorry, it's 2. 2? Yeah, I'm sorry, I just saw it, I was reading through it. Yeah, I think it's.
Okay, we got the profit and lot budget versus actual. Is that where you saw it, Dick?
Yeah, it was at 2 down to 5 at the grants receivable. There's just some other grants as well in there.
Okay.
It is in there. Oh, no, sorry. Actually, on page 1, I lied. It's on page 1. It says where they received it and what they've spent money on since then. And it goes on to page 2.
Okay.
There we go. That's receivable portion.
I'm all set, Bill.
Okay, thank you, Christine.
Good question.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Okay, Catherine.
Heather's online with us.
Oh, yeah.
It says in our notes that we're going to cut funding last year. Are they funding you now? Did they fund you in 2020?
They did fund us we did in 2020.
So it's just Barnstead and Sandwich.
That's right. Yes, and Sandwich a couple of years ago, and then it's something that we push for every year. And one of our uses Sandwiches, and to leverage. Yeah.
Did you have anything?
I have a
I'm
question.
not-
Oh,
I have a question, Bill. This is Pat Constantino.
okay, Pat.
Thank you. Can you tell me what the cost is? God forbid we had a crisis in Tilton and you needed to intervene. What would be the general cost of that one intervention from start to finish to new beginnings?
It varies greatly depending on the service. I can say that if we sheltered someone, established that the night cost is around $57 per night per person.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. I didn't.
I'm sorry, our shelter bed night cost is $57 per person per night. So if we sheltered someone, that would be the cost. We generally provide an emergency food voucher of $20 for an individual, up to $50 for a family, depending on family size. If we were providing our direct service advocates, hourly rates start at $16 an hour. The highest paid is $19.20. Generally, court response would take 1 to 3 hours. From there, if we paid monthly rent, that varies greatly. I think the Tilton resident who's receiving a rental subsidy right now is $800 per month. We give each transitional housing participant a $1,000 pot of emergency money that we can distribute directly to vendors as needed. So that might be for car repair or we
So this $1,575 is just a very small percent, even if we had one person or one family in need in the town of Tilton, correct?
That's correct. I would say the least amount of service that we provide might be a quick 15-minute middle of the night phone call where we're answering questions. Most of the people who call us receive comprehensive services for sometimes years.
Thank you, and also thank you for all that you do for Tilton.
Thank you.
So we are open to the public. If anyone else would like to ask a question. Cool. Hearing none. Are there any other board questions?
I have one. How often are you at capacity where you can't serve someone from, say, Tilton?
For shelter, we are often at capacity. I think last year, our longest vacancy in shelter was just over 48 hours. That said, we are never, ever turning anyone away. So if our shelter was full, and we do prioritize Belknap County for our shelter, if our shelter was full and a Tilton resident called and was fleeing imminent danger at home, we would sit with that person, make calls on their behalf, and set up a safety plan to get them relocated. If everything that they knew was in Tilton and they were highly opposed to relocating, we would subsidize a hotel stay until we could help them get an apartment. Thankfully, New Hampshire laws protecting victims are quite strong. So if they had any rights to the home that they were living in and an interest in staying, if they were eligible for a restraining order, we could assist with that. And then they would get rights to the home for at least a month until we got to a final hearing and could establish who was going to stay long term.
My understanding is just recently you had to turn someone away for shelter and they went to our welfare director.
We would not have just said no. If someone was eligible for shelter services, we would have paid for a hotel stay. So you might not have, we do partner with welfare to cover some of those types of costs, but if a victim fleeing who otherwise met our shelter criteria could not get in because of capacity, we would put them in a hotel until we found something else.
It was, I heard, as I said, I heard it wasn't directly firsthand, but I thought a reliable source, so maybe it wasn't as reliable as I thought it was. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions?
All set, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. Yes.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Next, we have Franklin Visiting Nurses. Is it Kristen Albert? Is Jenny Boyce here too? Or?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sure. I mean, if you want to come up and get a little closer. Thank you. Do you need any more introductions, or you heard it the first time?
No. So the Visiting Nurses of Franklin VNA Hospice is a Medicare certified, not-profit home health and hospice agency established in 1945. We are proud to serve residents of Tilton and our surrounding communities, providing high-quality professional healthcare services in people's homes. These services also allow our neighbors to recover from illness or injury, manage a chronic disease, or receive end-of-life care in the security and comfort of their own homes, from birth through death. Our highly skilled and compassionate staff is engaged with our community members from baby's first homecoming visit through treatment for illness, injury, disease management, and end-of-life care. Due to COVID, we've had to adjust how we provide care. It's been challenging. Staff have been wearing PPE for 8+ hours in hot homes and screening patients prior to even beginning their visits and going in the homes. So visits have taken longer than what they normally would. We have never slowed down, even when the hospitals closed and facilities closed. We continue to get referrals, see patients, and our staff showed up 100% every single day. We are a small agency, but we are mighty. We have had some increased costs in medical supplies, but luckily we have been granted a lot of free PPE, which has helped us kind of balance that out. Our support service program provides help to those in need of assistance with activities such as light housekeeping, meal prep, grocery shopping, errands, socialization, and these services allow the elders and vulnerable residents to remain safely in their homes. In addition to the home health, hospice, and support services, Franklin VNA also offers blood pressure clinics, flu clinics, and foot care clinics in the community. Right now with COVID, obviously the blood pressure clinics have not been open because the seniors do not want to go to the senior centers and expose themselves. Due to COVID though, we are doing a drive-by flu clinic at Franklin VNA. The date is to be announced shortly, hopefully by the end of this week. We have resumed our foot care clinic in the office. We have a pretty stringent cleaning process in place. Our patients pull up out front. They let us know we're there. We have a staff member go out. They screen them, check their temperature, walk them in, and it's a straight shot into the room. There's minimal other staff around, just the receptionist, because in a closed container office. And after the foot care is done, they walk them back out. The room is sanitized, and then they bring the next patient in. So that's been really good to get that back. I know, I'll tell you, not doing their feet has been a big thing. Our agency also participates in the Winnipesaukee Public Health Council and emergency preparedness teams, where we focus our attention on the safety and needs of homebound residents within the region. We have recently applied to be a closed pod. So that's just started, and it's to give out vaccinations and things like that. We were actually just granted through Department of Health and Human Services our own test kits for our staff for COVID. So that was great because we were really having to work with Health First and Merrimack County to get our staff tested, and it was on a rotation based on the state, and it was really, really difficult to get that done. Our staff would have to go in on the weekends to get tested. So now that we can test our own staff, it's been pretty good for the last few weeks. We have had no positive staff. We have had no patients that have come home and then test positive. We have taken care of patients who have come home from the hospitals who have had COVID and have needed a lengthy recovery at home, learning to walk again and things like that. We have received a PPP loan, which really helped us back in April and May when things started to slow down, and they closed everything down. So that was really good. We get grants from town appropriations, from several other towns, and I just lost my train of thought, sorry. And I also wanted to mention that this past year, that our total percentage of patients that we saw in Tilton were 18%, and that was up from 11% the year before. So that was nice to see. The town appropriations, if we received them from you, would be used towards our support services programs, our blood pressure clinics and our flu clinics and our care clinics. And anything else that may come up, so.
But you don't test for COVID? I mean, they haven't given you the testing ability?
We have testing ability to test our staff who are seeing patients.
But
not staff, not patients, no.
Okay.
No.
Nice.
Clear Choice now is testing for free, so that is good that we can send people there to get tested if they need to. So.
Are you familiar what your operating budget is?
Say it again.
Are you familiar what your operating budget is?
I'm new to this position, so that's why
What is
Jenny's
your
kind of
position?
here helping me.
What's your position?
CEO,
CEO.
yes.
How many staff do you have?
We have 32 right now.
32 staff. That
Yes.
make up your $2 million payroll.
Yes.
Is it 32?
Yes.
We always like to compare with other towns. Do you have a comparison with, and you're part of, you get funds from Merrimack County?
Yes.
Right, but not Belknap. Same as usual. Yeah.
Yeah. There are 8 other towns that we service that do give us money. Tilton currently provides about 22% of the municipality funds that we do receive. Franklin being the biggest, where that's our biggest patient census area. But Tilton is next in line as the next.
Yeah, we've always kind of bemoaned that Franklin doesn't give you guys anything for
What?
what you do. But, well, we know, of course, that you've been around forever, so.
How much you guys
Do a great
exactly
job.
asking for too? Sorry. I didn't-
No, go ahead.
How much you guys asking for?
12,572.
Same as
Would this
last-
affect
same as
any
last.
services?
I'm sorry.
If we gave you 0, would it affect any services? Would you still be able to provide the same level of service?
We would continue to provide the best care possible to all our patients. We wouldn't alter.
So would it affect your service?
It would
It would affect our bottom line.
Yes, it would affect our bottom
But
line.
not the
But not the service.
Not the service.
It would affect the $4 million operating budget. So it's 12,000.
Do you have any trouble getting, proficient people to work for you? I mean, is that an issue these days? I know some of the medical field is having issues with that, but.
I wouldn't say proficient people. I'd say that being a small agency, our health insurance is really high. And the staff, when they're looking, nurses, physical therapists, they can pretty much work anywhere. And when they're looking for the best price and looking for the lowest amount of insurance. We have offered some sign-on bonuses, which has helped to offset some of those costs for people. I think we have a pretty good staff right now. We've lost a couple staff due to COVID, retiring, things like that, family issues over the summer. But I think our staff are very proficient and very high quality. It's a competition. Everybody's hiring. So.
Question.
Yes.
You said benefits, but you guys spend $292,000 in benefits, not including your salaries lot. So is that benefits for your salaried employees? We just misspoken there.
So again.
You said that the benefits, you tried to, it seemed to me like you were trying to say that the benefits were into the salaries line. That's almost $2 million.
No.
No, the salaries.
That's their own line item.
Okay, that's what I was just trying to
Okay,
find out. That we have $300,000 of separate benefits from that pay. So what would be the lowest paid employee and how many part-time compared to full-time employees do you have?
I think the lowest paid is $15.
An hour?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And is that a part-time position? How many part-time and full-time positions do you have?
We have.
So there's 32 employees.
Two.
Do you even know how many full-time at least?
Yeah, I think we only have 2 part-time right now.
2 times.
We've had some people who have changed from per diem to like part-time and full-time to per diem, so it's gone back and forth. But yes, I think we have two part-time.
We have 30 full-time employees.
Yes.
Are you looking at 2 different program and administrative?
No, I'm just looking at over the overall.
Okay, they have a program services, salaries and benefits, and they have administrative and general salaries and benefits.
Where's that?
That is on 14.
This is 2018, 2019. This is 2020. Last year and the year before. So they didn't get year to date for this except for over here.
Okay.
So that's all I was looking for.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
the 2020 is somewhere else.
Yeah, it's right here on the,
Okay.
that's why I'm writing this, because they didn't have this is only the 2018, 2019.
Okay.
But yeah, this gives you a good reference, but new year.
Yeah, I didn't really get to go over these as well as I'd like to. Any other questions from the board?
Bill, it's Christine.
It's Christine.
I have a few. Just so I heard this right, Tilton is 42% of the town. Okay, how much was it again?
22%.
22?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm on the phone. So, and how many towns are there?
9
9.
total, including.
9, and we're 22%.
Yes.
In addition to receiving, PPP loans and whatnot from the federal government, wasn't the medical facilities getting funds from, not sure if it's state or federal, and then it was filtered out to the employees for additional income for being on the front lines?
Yes.
Did your facility receive that as well?
Yes. The employees.
Okay.
The employees who were on the front line, yes.
Okay. And then Dick already covered the salaries, so I don't know what page this is, but it says budget line item year to date actual as of 6/20, budget as of 6/20, and 6/30/2020. We're past June 30th, and actuals 88,000 in home care revenue and 149 was expected. What was the problem there?
When we wrote
And the
our,
same with the hospice revenue also.
When we wrote our 2020
What is your name?
budget,
Sorry.
my name?
Yeah.
Jenny Boyce.
Can you hear Jenny Boyce? Christine?
I can hear someone there. Jenny, you said it was? Yeah.
She's
Continue, sorry.
going to answer the question.
When
Okay.
we, our 2020 budget, we were very optimistic that there were going to be a lot of things that were going to bring in revenue that not only didn't come to fruition, but then COVID hit to complicate things. There were insurance plans that had expressed intentions at the end of last year to expand the types of services that they would cover and pay us for that backed out in January. We were also hoping to increase our patient census with increased staff as well. But even though we have a good staff on hand right now, like Kristen said, there's a lot of competition and we haven't been able to retain and gain all the new staff that we were hoping for. So the 2020 budget was written very, very optimistically and we haven't been able to meet it.
Did you get that, Christine?
I did. Are we doing the same thing for 2021, being optimistic?
No.
No.
We were actually on it earlier, and it's not going to be as aggressive.
It was a different ED. I just took over interimly in January and then officially in March, so.
Awesome. Because you guys are asking for money from small town, small population, a lot of these people elderly on fixed incomes. And this money really does. I know it seems like a little drop here, drop there, but all of this adds up into one big bucket. We're absolutely crushing the Tilton taxpayers. So every dollar does count. So this is make or break for some homes. And it's already changed my neighborhood quite a bit. So I think it's good for us to keep in mind that when we're asking for this money, do we really need this money at this point? Cool.
Bill, I still had another one.
Okay, go ahead.
As the grants and whatnot from the federal government and the state level, are these posted anywhere in these reports to net out your actual expenses here? I don't see anywhere where, you know, PPP and all the funds that was received due to COVID in 2020 is posted anywhere. And I know, I believe it's before June 30th.
Yep.
Because that would reduce their expenses here.
Yeah, we have one line, one page. So at least that's all I have. It's not very good. The rest of your
Grant income, there's a grant income here. What is that?
Grant income is what we receive from Merrimack County.
Okay.
And then
Yeah, that's not the federal and state loans that for COVID. I can tell that.
bucket because it's not actual revenue that we're planning to hold on.
Cool.
Temporary to be used for specific purposes. So we didn't put it in the general grant line item because we wanted to be able to track it. It's just not.
So where is it tracked on here? Is it not?
It's not.
Okay.
It's in our
So
long-term liability.
when you come here, please make sure it's all tracking. So there's even more money we don't see on this page, not even including this almost, what, $3 million plus here. So there's more money we don't know about. Okay, thank you so much. I'm all set.
We would be interested in what you are doing with that.
Well, I know PPP, they're required to pay out to payroll. And I know the other one, they have to give the front lines the extra funds because they're, you know, putting their lives into the COVID every day. But I don't know where I know some of the PPP can go to their any mortgage payments and administrative. And I only know about this because I'm an accountant and I know I've helped a bazillion people get the PPP so they can use these funds in a variety of ways.
So,
Yes.
100% of our PPP loan proceeds went to payroll.
Where is that?
Yeah, we just like
need
to
that
see, we just like to
give you
see
the money,
that.
to make
Yeah,
that
yeah.
determination.
Okay.
Yeah, accurate paperwork helps.
Okay.
That's all.
So
In
the
back.
actual should show actual, including grants and from federal and state to net out what we're seeing as your income and expenses portion here. I think that's it, Bill. Sorry.
Great job, Christine.
Yeah.
Good eye. I didn't even
You
see
can get
that.
us that information?
Yes.
Okay,
We
great.
can do that.
Anybody else on the board?
I'm also.
Well, we'll open it to the public. Is there any public listening or in the audience that would like to ask a question? Hearing and seeing none, we
Teddy?
will.
Pat is monitoring.
Yes,
Ted's
Ted's still here?
Yeah. Ted, are you
Pat, I said.
still there, Ted?
No questions. Yes, I'm still here. No questions.
I'm here. I have it. Dick,
Check
don't
it.
ask. Please don't answer for me. I can answer for myself. Thank you. Mr. Chair, I have no questions at this time for Franklin V&A, except thank them for the service. Thanks.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move along to Hall Memorial Library. Jennifer Davis. Please.
I have like handouts.
Please. Have they been antiseptic?
They have not.
It's okay.
They have,
I'll roll the dice today.
they have, however, been in a folder.
Hand it over. That's good enough for me.
All right,
So I've included our new brochure.
great.
Oh, you guys grew. Not leaking still?
And no, for new one.
Good. Just making sure.
So new brochure, an application to become a patron, and also it's basically the exact same item that we had given to you, except the bottom includes our restricted funds and information that I did not have at the time to submit it.
Question about this application. Is this a new application, or is it still?
No,
Same? Okay.
it is it would be more of an update. So if you have a card with us, our cards expire every 3 years so that we can update your information. After 6 years, we take them out of the system. So if you haven't been in and out long, you would have to fill out it anyway, but every 3 years we have you fill out or update your information. So if you all would like to
I'm already.
fill that out tonight, you're more than welcome to, and I can bring it back and then get you cards. And DOB, just for the record, means date of birth. So, not everybody realizes that. So I am Jennifer Davis. I'm the director of Hall Memorial Library. I just hit my 8th year here as of September, so go team. We provide services to Tilton and Northfield citizens, to all of the kids in the Williams-Swan school system, to anyone who attends or works at the Tilton school, and to anyone who works in Tilton or Northfield at, at one of the businesses in Tilton or Northfield. Let's see, I'm trying to think of all the things that I want to tell you, but probably the most glaring one is that 2020 has been a dumpster fire for everyone. And so our services have changed significantly. It is not how we are going to go forward, but it is currently a very different landscape. We have, we've reduced our hours to 12 to 6 Monday through Friday. A lot of that has to do with staffing. When the state shut down and quarantined, all but, well, everyone on staff except for myself were furloughed. Although we did keep another person on our staff part-time so that, you know, in case I get hit by a bus, we'd have somebody else there. And our maintenance man stayed on half-time as well. The trustees did that in an effort to save money because it's very clear what the writing on the wall has been. So we were closed for quite a while and reopened in July after we had a few items retrofitted in the library to protect the staff. So we started with curbside pickup. You can now have books delivered to a table just outside the door, and we collect those for you and check them out. All of our books that are being returned are being quarantined for 3 days at least before they're checked in and put back out into the public. And that is according to best practices as were put out by the IMLS, which is sort of the national oversight people, the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences, and the realm study that they have done on how long the fomites of the COVID virus live on all the different surfaces that can occur in the library. So the staff came back, but ultimately we did lose 4 3/4 of our staff members due to personal reasons for some, but also childcare for others. And it's a very different world. So we had one person who did not wish to be in the library anymore. So we are currently hiring for a children's librarian position. And we're going to increase those hours. That is in response to both Union Sanborn and Southwick not currently having a librarian in either school. Southwick doesn't have a library anymore. It's a makerspace. So we're trying to increase the hours and make some changes that way so that going forward, though we are not doing we're not doing in-person programs in the library right now, that when we can, we'll be ready to get back into the school system, provide as many programs as we can in the library and really continue with that outreach. We have recently, there's a group of folks who have recently started a nonprofit called the Raven Gale Blaisdell Foundation at Hall Memorial Library, with the goal of getting books into the hands of kids so that they will learn to love reading and also learn to love the library. We are very close to having being a nonprofit with the IRS, and so the goal is to work very closely with the library. Actually, like most of us on the board of the new nonprofit either work for the library or like diehard library patrons, so we're kind of very intermingled. But the goal is to give out books, encourage reading. We're working with the Tilton Northfield Santa Fund to give books to them this year so that we can get books into the hands of our kids, make some changes. In the springtime on Fridays, through what we had kind of started with that foundation, I gave out books at the hot lunch program, where when people picked up in the drive-thru at the school, which was actually quite a lot of fun, except during Black Fly season. That like 1 week was terrible. We have had some glass partitions put in at the library. It was rather expensive, but it was a choice to do that rather than plexiglass, so it would be a long-term commitment to the health of the staff. We did try to apply for some of the money that was out there from municipalities. However, since we are considered an outside agency and we're not owned by either town, we were not able to get any of that reimbursement money. So that was a bit of a bummer, but I think the trustees were really committed to making sure that the staff is going to be healthy going forward. So now you can make an appointment to come in and browse at the library for 30 minutes and check your items out, or you can go online and reserve books or call, and we'll check them out to you and deliver them to the table outside the door. Or you can come in and use our computers for 20 minutes. But there's no more sitting and working at a table. We've extended our Wi-Fi hours and boosted our Wi-Fi signal. As a matter of fact, when I left the library at 6 tonight, there were 4 people in cars there doing things on their computers or handheld items using our Wi-Fi. So it's a changed landscape, but I think we're all really hopeful, at least I hope we're all really hopeful that it's going to change in 2020 for the better, and we're planning for that as well. We had done a lot of virtual programming right at the start, but what we're hearing, especially in terms from our parents, is that people are really burned out from the the Zoom meetings and learning online. So that has petered out as well. And we've started doing make and take crafts so that things that are, we can package them up and send them home with the kids that may go along with some of the books that they've taken out. So that's my spiel. Have I forgotten anything, ladies? Okay. 'Cause I always
So you
do.
weren't PPP or PPE, and you weren't, funds weren't available to.
There's so many PPE jokes I want to make right now.
Yeah.
I'll try to So we did apply for and receive free hand sanitizer from the state, free masks from the state, free gloves. I think those were the three main things that I was able to receive. The state library had also made arrangements with Steadfast Brewery to provide a free gallon of hand sanitizer, which, you know how expensive that is. That was like,
Yeah, right.
heaven. And then we were able to purchase additional gallons for $36, which is a huge discount. So we have that. We haven't actually had to give away a lot of masks. We've been very fortunate that most people are either bringing their own in or remembering them. But people are required to wear a mask over their mouth and their nose for the entire duration that they're in the library, and they have to use hand sanitizer on the way in. Luckily, we've had some good results.
When are the toddler events are coming back like on Saturdays and stuff, in-person stuff?
So the in-person stuff, we do have a tiered event, like a tiered planning for how the library will reopen. And I would say anecdotally, because I don't know for sure, it will not be until 2021 at the earliest.
Okay.
Some libraries across the state have opened two different ways of doing it. Most are kind of doing exactly what we're doing. A lot of them are doing outside events, but since we don't have a children's library, that was a bit harder.
Okay.
But it is, that's the hardest part.
The events were really good. I brought my son to them, so they're really, really good.
Yeah, and it's totally heartbreaking that Miss Julie has left us. But you know, we're just gonna kind of roll with it. And we're hoping to find somebody who's really comfortable with technology and who can provide some more like online story time or puppet shows or just something a little bit different. But again,
It's hard with kids.
It is, it's hard with kids.
Yeah, they're gonna sit the screen and rub
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And, you know, we're seeing more and more people come back because that is what we're encouraging right now. You know, for a very short amount of time, we want to keep the viral load in the building down as much as possible. And we're seeing kids come back, and that is the very best time of the day because they come in and their eyes are excited and they're all lit up and they're like, oh, we're back to the library, and they get so excited. So when we see them, it's pretty awesome. Also, they've usually grown like 4 inches, so it's weird, you know, because we haven't seen them in so long. And it's the best part of the day, for sure.
I'm just saying from my experience that when I was in February, all the way up till the pandemic, we were doing the workshops with our little son there, little story time and the play times downstairs. It's really good. You guys host really good events. You guys do a fantastic job with the money you guys do have. You make do it a little, make you go really far with that little bit of money.
You know, I feel like we're kind of scrappy that way. I know that sounds a little ridiculous, but like that's another thing. We understand that it's hard for people to get their items back to us in a timely fashion. So we have waived, I would say, the majority of all of our fines, not the fees. So if you lose a book, we're still charging you, but I'll work with you. If you come and speak to me, I'll give you the Amazon price plus $2 in processing. So like we're really trying to work with people to make everything as affordable as possible, and make sure that people can, you know, don't feel guilty and can come back to us whenever they feel comfortable. But thank you. I really appreciate that you say that. This was the thing that we miss the most.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you go to baby time?
Yeah, it was baby time. My son's 2.
Yeah.
He was really liking it.
That's awesome.
Gave me chocolate milk before. So. He's running around, but all the other kids are great. They had little parachute games.
Yeah. So Sarah Payon was our baby time gal, and we're hoping she'll come back. But her husband's hours changed. He's a teacher, and so she couldn't still be on staff. But she also didn't want to expose us to anything that her husband might be exposed to. He teaches down in Londonderry, I think so. But I'm still recruiting. You know, like I tell her all the time, you're gonna come back.
Any other board questions?
Christine does.
Go, Christine.
One clarification on the applications, it says they're asking for $275,525, and I think they really mean on the second page, $131,950. So if I could make that part of the record to correct that.
I'm sorry, I knew that I did that on one of them, and I couldn't remember if it was Tilton or Northfield, so I do apologize for that. But
Yeah.
it is correct, we are asking for only half of that.
The other one is, I'm looking at the budget, and projected says September, December. Actual, is that actual through August 30th, 2020, or what dates am I looking at this 2020 actual and projected and budget?
So that was through August 31st, I think. Right. Yes.
Okay. And I don't see
31, so sorry, 950?
950.
Yeah, sorry.
So I'm looking at, I don't see any assets and liabilities, which would show me how much money that was saved from the trustees furloughing everybody and whatnot was going on, or how much money was saved this year via COVID. I'd like to get, the assets and liabilities, because that would show your banking, your bills, your mortgages, things like that.
She wants to see the updated paperwork.
The expenses, the updated expenses. Yeah.
No, no. Expenses and income are profit and loss. I'm talking assets and liabilities, meaning your assets are your checking, your banking, your whatever assets you hold, plus your liabilities is mortgages or debts, things like that. I don't see any assets and a liability.
So we do not have any debt to speak of. And then because you're online, I'm not sure if you can see it, but we do have a restricted funds and restricted use of interest funds listed on the items that I handed out tonight. So we have a capital improvement fund that is $76,114.30. And that is as of the end of September. Additionally, we have trust funds that is mostly restricted use, and that is $225,793.75.
What do you mean by restricted?
Well, when people make donations, they will often make it a restricted donation. So for instance, they will say, I'm donating this in memory of my mother and father. And
perpetual care donations.
Yes,
basically.
yes. Yeah. So for Southwick left us money in his will, but we are only allowed to use the interest. So and it's not to be used for operating expenses. So that's just
okay. What
are those trust
so
funds?
Northfield? Yeah.
It's Tilton, the trust funds.
Those I don't.
Because I was a trustee of trust fund for years, and I remember there was a lot of library funds in that, but I didn't think there was that much.
Yeah, so I believe that there's a separate
money can only be used for, like, we had to replace the roof, we had to replace the furnace.
That's the capital improvement fund, yeah.
So some of it has saved you money, we didn't have to come to you.
Right.
You can see on the top line where it says we take out $4,100 for trust funds. That's money that we estimate that we can use out of the trust funds of the interest or computer updates or stuff like that.
And so
just interest only. A lot of the funds
Right.
that we get.
Trust funds are typically interest only, yeah.
The handout she did have their income and their expenses on this little handout. It was just a basic form, but.
And also to address that, there is a Tilton Trust Fund, but most of this is held at Fidelity.
Right, they moved those to that like many years ago, yeah.
And what did you say was in your operating account?
Our operating account right now has about, well, once I deposit Northfield check, it'll have about 50,000, a little over 50,000 in it.
Did you hear that, Christine?
Yes. And you said no to PPP, you said, right?
We did not receive any PPE money, no. PPP.
Okay.
We didn't receive any money for any of that.
So all the staff but the 2 half-times were furloughed from when to when? March to July?
From March until July. I believe it was right around March 14th to right around July 14th.
When you furloughed, were furlough sometimes mean paid and sometimes it means not paid?
They were not paid.
Were they not paid? So all that time, that 50,000 in operating is all that was saved from all that time?
Yes. That's all that was saved from the operating.
Well, that's what's in our operating account.
When, and I apologize because I'm looking at these papers, but when I see payroll, your budget is 162,000 in payroll. If I divide that by those months, it's tight.
Well, we still paid Jenna and we still paid Brittany and we still paid another part-timer plus our cleaning person.
So they did pay.
It wasn't everybody.
It wasn't everybody. Some people were furloughed just to part-time status, and so we did pay for their part-time hours.
Okay. Okay, that's different than the 2 half-times you had mentioned before. Okay.
It does.
I think that's it, Bill.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Anybody else on board? We'll turn it over to any interested spectators, town people have any questions?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, Pat. Okay, well, I guess we're good. We're all good? Yep. Okay, thank you, Jen.
Fantastic job.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Have a good
Love the
evening.
program.
Yeah.
As well.
Do you have every book online?
You cannot get every book online. We do, and we've seen a huge uptick in it. We do subscribe to New Hampshire Downloadables, which is a consortium with the entire state. Unfortunately, there's a long wait list for those. And ebooks and audiobooks are so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
They're so expensive. You don't own them.
Right, right.
So there's usually you get 2 years or a certain amount of checkouts on that. So it's hard to balance, like, do we buy that or do we buy the book that we can keep for a long amount of time? So
They keep all the good books
But I was
there.
just curious, if you go online, can anyone see every book? If they wanted to see
No.
what you actually have in your library?
yes.
They're all online?
Oh, yes, we have an online catalog that
Really?
you can go to. Yep,
Yeah.
and you can log into it and reserve your items.
Yeah.
We will pull them from the shelf and then package them up, and usually we reuse our Walmart bags. And that's what we put them out with. So if you wanted to reserve books for your child, you can just give us a call and I can walk you through that, Dick. So
Okay.
just let me know.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Night.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, guys. Great job.
Oh, but before I go, Deb, what's the theme next year?
We don't know.
Aw.
We'll work on it. Okay.
It's gonna be wear a mask. All right.
Yeah, right? Mask it up.
Okay, now we have Tilton Old Home Day.
Tilton
Deborah
Northfield,
Shepherd.
Tilton Northfield, Old Home Day.
Tilton, oh, it says Tilton here, but Tilton Northfield, right?
They're going to the hip.
Right.
How much did they give you?
We get 3,000 from both towns.
And I see you returned last year.
We did, because we ended up
because
not having the
didn't have
event.
it.
Police Chief Rafferty
Mhm.
informed us that all events were going to be canceled in Northfield.
Sure.
We didn't have a say in it, but we were okay with it.
Yeah.
It is held at the Pines in Northfield, so,
Couldn't even have a beach party, huh?
no, we were trying to be cautious. I mean, we
No.
had a lot of people for this event and it's a lot of
Oh,
things
sure.
up
you know, mingling in the pines, a lot of people in a small space.
Well, no, and even,
People lying on
parade.
the parade roof, I mean, you know, elbow to elbow.
Sure,
so.
yeah. No, that's,
It was supposed to be the roaring 20s. Really quick.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like in Tilton.
So we're just basically pausing, and then you're trying to restart it again for next year.
We are.
right?
So, we asked for 3,000 from both towns. We do,
It's right here. yeah.
we did return both checks.
Uh-huh.
We do have some items we need to purchase this year that we've been putting off. We were gonna do it last year, and then we didn't have Old Home Day, and we didn't meet, so we didn't purchase it. So we have a few things we need to reinvest in.
We're near the end, I think. Oh, very last one, thank
We're
you,
at the
sorry.
end of time.
Yeah. Waypoint, that, there, oh, never mind, I'm blind.
Pretty low maintenance, so.
There we go. Beautiful, thank you.
So what was the new things you were,
It's on the list. We need a new awning for the chicken barbecue.
okay, yeah.
That's a pretty big awning. So I don't know how many feet it is. If you've been to the barbecue, it's pretty long. You can fit probably 15 or 20 tables under it. So it's pretty
Okay,
big.
yeah.
It's falling apart.
I mean, a tent, more of a tent.
Yeah, it's like the big tent with the
Okay,
middle.
sure.
It's the blue and white striped.
Yeah.
We need some more pop-ups. We have 2 hamburger hot dog stands that we usually do. We bought pop-ups probably 5 or 6 years ago. So they're getting beat up. Picnic tables, we bought some last year. And we get the ones that fold up flat from Home Depot.
Great.
Because in the Pines, in Northfield, they don't have enough picnic tables.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really fair to have the town buy them for our events. So we buy them and we store them in our storage trailer, which is next to the highway department in Northfield. So the folding flat ones fit in there nicely. We can put them in rows inside the. So we wanted to do a few more of those this year. We bought 4, I think, 2 years ago, and we need more. There's no place to sit down there if you're buying food. So we want to do that. So we're looking at about $3,000 in supplies. Our fireworks alone is $6,500.
Mm.
So you can see even if the 2 towns giving us $3,000, that doesn't even cover the cost of the fireworks. We do a fundraiser in the spring, and that's where you see the $1,600. We had done a mailing early in like January, February. And some money rolled in, and then COVID hit, and no more money came in.
Yeah, I don't think I sent a check there.
No, and we asked people, we contacted the ones we had collected money from and said, do you want us to return it? And they said, no, keep it for 2021. So, so that's a little crimp. We know.
We should ask for double next year for the
Yeah.
ones that didn't give you money.
Well, we appreciate what people do, but you know, it's a little committee. There's only 8 of us that put on this event, and it's pretty much 4 Tilton, 4 Northfield. Plus our kids and our grandkids all help, and you know, everybody pitches in, but there's a core group that's been doing it.
Sure.
This is my 15th year.
Yeah, good.
I'm the treasurer.
Yeah,
I've been the president, I've been the vice president, I've been the secretary. I'm the treasurer. I've been that for probably 6 or 7 years now. I'm not an accountant, so this is very basic, but it's really money in, money out. And we have a little bit left at the end of the year, and we go into the next year and start over. So we're very cheap. We're very frugal. I mean, there's been times when we've seen the sales at Shaw's for Coke, because we sell Coke products usually, that we all go in and buy the 4 or 6 that are allowed, and you get the Mountain Dews, you get the Coke, you get the Diet Cokes. I mean, we're pretty frugal.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What is everything covering? When you say the Old Home Day celebration, is that parade? What is everything?
It's the whole day, basically. The road race is done by a separate entity through the police department, their DARE program. But we do the parade, we do all the booths. I mean, there's a booth application fee that you can pay if you're a business, but if you're doing homemade stuff, there's no cost. So if you're a local vendor who sells plants, or you knit things, or you crochet things, we don't charge you for any of that. If it's homemade, there's no cost. So it's all the booths, it's all that we do hamburgers and hot dogs, that our committee actually works the booths themselves. The parade, the fireworks.
So now the parade, how do you go about getting people to there? Are you, some of those companies that are coming into the parade are just advertising? Have you thought about maybe?
We don't really have companies doing it in our parade. We've made some changes as far as the political people that come in. We're gonna make some changes with that, but most of the parade people are just local, like the wreckers. There's no cost to be in the parade. You just fill out a parade application. Okay. We make sure it's appropriate. We do look at that to make sure it's appropriate.
So you determine who comes in, it's no cost, but you determine who comes in and out at the
We,
public
we
parade.
require people to fill out an application so that we know how many we have and how big the parade is, because our parade takes about an hour.
Did you ever think that you could subsidize, instead of asking the town for money for this, we could subsidize for maybe the people in the parade could maybe chip in a little bit, because some of them are advertising with their tow trucks and with their business.
We haven't, because it's more about having a family day and a day for the community to come together. So we don't charge for the parade. A lot of times it's the local, wrecker guy, it's the fire trucks. I mean, there's not a lot of advertising going on.
That's an
We do-
advertising. When they're driving down Main Street, that's definitely
It is,
advertising.
but we don't charge them for that. And we honestly have never talked about that because it's about bringing the community together. So
Absolutely. I'm just thinking maybe it's a good idea for maybe next year to stop getting it from the town for these kind of events, and maybe we could start getting all the people that have these events to start self-funding outside of the towns.
Well, they sell advertising, like I buy.
no, we don't do the book anymore.
Oh, you didn't do that?
No, the book, it was costing us more to print it. than
Okay,
the book.
but you.
We do the fundraising letters.
Okay, fundraising, yeah, so.
The thing is that the towns with the 3,000 each, they're not even covering the expense of the day. So we are self-raising.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's what other towns are doing. That's all. I just didn't know. You've seen other old home days, like some parades, they charge you like $60 for your record to be in, or $50.
We haven't looked at that, and honestly, with 8 of us, it's not a bad idea, but we need more people to help with all this administrative stuff. So we do, I take care of the booths, and that's a full-time job, organizing and collecting money for all the booths. The parade, the main part of the parade right now is just organizing it and getting everybody where they need to be, because they line up in different places depending on what they are. If we were to look at all the ones that would pay for advertising, it would probably be a very small percentage. Because a lot of the veterans groups march, they're not gonna pay. The wreckers maybe, but other than that, it's fire trucks.
There's car dealerships
The
that
antique,
drive
well,
through.
no, the car dealer is AutoServe, and they donate those cars for our Citizens of the Year to ride in.
With
So
big plastered auto-serve down the side as well, advertising. So it's an
Right, but-
advertising
but-
expense for them.
It is, but we barter with them too. They don't have to provide they provide them, it benefits them and it benefits us. So that's the relationship we've had, because they're convertible, so you can see the Citizens of the Year, you can see the cane winner, the post-cane person. So it's a give and take. But obviously, they do get the advertising.
They get big advertisements.
Yeah.
Do you pay for bands?
We do pay for 2 bands.
Okay,
Yeah, we pay them 400 each, and that comes out of our budget.
okay. That's
Yeah, we
cheap
do
enough.
because of the music and we want the quality.
Sure, yeah.
We've tried to get the schools to participate and things like that, but it's after school gets out,
Right.
so they don't participate.
So this old home day ceremony, you were spending the same funding. So basically you just said to me that it was just because you don't have enough staff, you don't have enough time and effort to go and try to source it in the community. So it's easier just to come to us to get money.
No, what I'm saying is it's a very small community event. There's 8 of us that are on the committee. We've tried to do a drive. We're not staff. We're total 100% volunteers.
No, I totally get that.
I spend hours on this every year. People don't even realize they show up, they enjoy the day, they go home. We build up to it for months and months and months and months, and there's 8 of us. So it's not easy to come to the town, but it's a town community event.
Yep.
So it is nice that the town has a stake in it and a small contribution to it. I mean, 3,000 each town is a drop in the bucket in your budget. I'm a Tilton resident, I pay taxes, and I enjoy Old Home Day. And I know every single one of my neighbors enjoys Old Home Day. There's a point in time when you have to look at the benefit it gives and the cost. And I think our benefit way outweighs any cost to the town for the $3,000.
Yeah, but this $3,000 could be, it's a small, like you said, it's a very small amount of money.
Yeah.
And finding, even just saying, hey, looking out in the community, this could stop our tax. As you know, you live in town,
Yeah.
hopefully you're a homeowner.
I do.
And
I
so
am.
you understand that the taxes have been going up.
My taxes just jumped crazy, Dick.
Okay,
My
so-
taxes went up
So
$2,000 a year.
every drop counts.
I
And
understand that.
I just think, I know this is a huge burden for you guys, but I think it would be great to show good faith for you guys to try to get money from the outside
All right,
companies.
We just could call it the auto serve parade.
That's,
No, I have
know,
to say.
that's
though,
what I feel like it is.
I think we need to back up a little bit. And I know how the budget works. I'm a town administrator for the town of Thornton. I know how the budget works. This is a small drop in our budget for 3,000.
So you don't need it.
No, we do need it, because just the fireworks alone, Dick, are $6,500.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we sell hamburgers and hot dogs. We sell a few booths. most of our booths don't pay because they're local residents who come in and sell their homeware, something they've made themselves. We have a few that come in that are commercial, that pay us, but you know, it's like $40 or $50 for them to be there for the day. So it's not a huge moneymaker, but it gets the people down to the Pines. They do the horse pull, they get to buy all the food, they support the snowmobile club, the Boy Scouts, the fire department who sells things, food. So I mean, it brings everybody together and all the community benefits. It's a fundraiser for more than just Old Home Day. So, you know,
It's a community day.
it's absolutely a community day, and it's well received, and for the amount of money that each town puts in, they get a lot in return. It brings a lot of people to the area. They spend their money at Dipsy Doodle, at Park and Go. They go to all the area restaurants. I mean, they go to the outlet malls when they're here. It brings money in, it brings people into Tilton Northfield.
Any other question?
So you guys have,
Christine.
Christine, yes. Hang on, Christine, you're up.
Doing all the figures. Hi, Deb, by the way. Doing the figures and with the new little items there that are being purchased, you're in the red. So basically, the booths and the food and whoever pays, and maybe the fundraising is the only thing that's going to bring you out of the red.
Correct.
So these items that are going to get purchased, if COVID is not looking too good, I mean, are you going to wait to purchase these because you guys will be so far in the hole because you're not going to get fundraising and you're not going to get the booths and food if we don't have it again next year?
Right. We would.
And this
we would,
is, I just want to say that you're in the red with the town's money.
No, we're not, because right now we have about $8,400 in the bank. Okay.
Right. Yeah, and you're going to spend $53.92. There's $6,500 in fireworks, $3,000 in supplies, two bands, $800.
Christine, the purchases
Yes.
are under $3,000. I'm showing you what the starting balance would be anticipated.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong number. Okay. That's the starting balance.
That's what we expect. That's where it is normally every year, right around that spot. But to answer your question, if COVID is still running wild in March of 21 or April of 21, we of course are not going to spend any money until we know we can have the event in June. And we start planning for it in like February. So we would have to play it by ear. And if it doesn't happen, you know, we of course wouldn't take the $3,000 from either town, and we'd be right back where we are for 2022.
Right, and I'm thankful that you did that, Deb. That was very nice. Another suggestion is maybe Dick could join the committee and help out with the fundraising.
yeah, that's good. As long as they're okay with eliminating the town line, absolutely.
Well, I just, you know, this event brings a lot to the community, and we appreciate the town's support. But in all fairness to the 8 members, we work hard to raise the money to make sure this event goes on. With no raise to the town. It's been $3,000 for several years. Before that, it was like $2,500. So it's been pretty much level funded for years. And as you know, well,
Just because we do something for years doesn't mean it's right though, at the same time.
no.
I have something to say.
Yes, Pat?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were the chair.
No,
Mr.
I'm not. Don't worry.
we haven't quite opened it up to the public yet.
Well, she's part of the Board of Selectmen. This is usually a combined meeting.
So is she a member tonight of the board?
Selectmen,
Of the board?
yeah.
On the board tonight? Is she part of the board tonight?
Board of Selectmen.
No, board of.
Yeah,
Oh, we got John.
She's
John.
she's a public right now. So
Okay, usually we have these meetings,
Jointly.
Selectmen jointly, so
No,
that the outside agency.
what I'm doing is I'm having the board speak, and then I'm opening it to the public, which would include the
Okay,
select
So
people
you're
in the
calling the
audience.
Selectmen public.
Right.
I
Right
got
now,
you.
I wanted to finish
I'm
with
sorry,
the
I'm
board
following you.
before I opened it to the public, which includes
I'm
the select
following you.
person.
Following you.
I would
Probably-
love to see Old Home Day happen again, that's for sure.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Is that Christine?
I just want to say.
Yes,
that
I just said I would love to see it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just saying that I am pro-funding this. I'm just thinking we should start setting a pattern of looking for alternative funding in other places, other avenues that are open and available, easily, readily available. We did the little mailers and stuff that worked great in the 80s and 90s, but in 2020, there's other avenues we can access and do that.
Well, if you want to bring me 5 or 6 more committee members, we will put you to work on fundraising. Honestly, because I work.
I think it'd only take a couple phone calls for me to raise that $3,000, not even probably one.
Well, then you go ahead. I accept the challenge.
If you guys accept me on the board, then then you can remove the line item from our town, because I will.
No,
Okay,
I'm not removing anything until things change. This is.
If we had,
status
so
quo.
I'm just asking to come on the board. I would be willing to go on the board. I would get someone to level fund it for 5 years if we would remove the town line item. That's when I would be willing to go on your board. So if you would like that, take that offer, and I'd be more than willing to.
Well, I can't accept that.
Okay, so that's just the attitude.
You could go have an appointment with them and do that.
Sure.
I think
Listen to any.
Kathy had a question.
Point group.
What is average? What is the total cost to put on Old Home Day? I know your fireworks is the most expensive part of it, right?
Yes, that's
And then you have the tractor pull.
No, we don't.
I'm not tractor pull,
No,
the horse pull.
pull. We do. We give, the horse pull came under Old Home Day a few years ago, and thank you for bringing that up, because, and what they do is they charge an entrance fee, but, costs have gone up, participation has gone down. So we end up funding the horse pull as well. So that usually costs us $1,600 usually, but it does bring people, it keeps the Old Home Day activities there. It's one of the only horse pulls still in New Hampshire. So we felt as an Old Home Day committee that we would envelop them under us and help them stay viable. So that's about another $1,600 to $1,800 depending on their participation.
Could you get us a breakdown? Usually we have a full
Well, we didn't hold
budget.
it this year, so you would have one from last year that
Well,
would show you all that.
yeah, I'd like to just see your basic, it's not going to change much year to year, I assume. So
I can give
be
you
nice.
2019.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. I
You
probably have it somewhere. Yeah,
We
okay.
submitted it last year.
All right, you're right. Yeah,
But it'll
I
show
can
you what
find
we
it.
pay for everything.
Yeah,
And another thing that's gonna happen this year is we've had a local restaurant that has helped us with purchasing the hamburgers, hot dogs, the whole chicken barbecue, which you all know about. We charge $10 and you get half a chicken with all the fixings. And we as a board have decided to leave it that way at that price because we want it to be affordable to the families that come down. We have a lot of elderly people, we have a lot of large families, and to have a whole chicken meal for $10 is what we're giving back. So that's part of, the appeal too. But this local restaurant, I'm not sure they're going to be around. They're going to be able to help us this coming year because of the COVID and the impact of the restaurant industry. They've been wonderful to us for the last few years, but I can see the writing on the wall. So we're probably going to have more expenses this year.
Just a quick comment.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't know, we do have manufacturing in Tilton. We have over 10 businesses that do over $5 million in annual sales every year in Tilton, well over 5, just to name a few. If you ever wanted to call them up, I'm pretty sure they'd be more than gracious to make a donation, especially the manufacturing sector in Tilton.
We send letters to all the manufacturers in Tilton, Northfield, Sandbridge.
Which one did you send in Tilton?
We have a huge list there. We have a huge list there.
Because I never received that from you.
I don't know what to tell you. But we
Thank you
have a
so
huge
much.
list.
Okay, we will now open it. If the board is finished, we'll open it to the public. Pat?
Thank you. No, I was a member of the Old Home Day years ago, and I got to tell you, I have never ever been on a committee that I've not been able to keep up with the committee. They have spent so many hours, months and months and months in advance to work on getting one day, just one day, to be the perfect day for the two communities. And I got hats off to Deb because she's done it for 15 years. God bless her. And I got to tell you, I did it for a couple of years. By the end of that year, I couldn't do it physically. Never mind mentally, physically couldn't do the job that they were doing every single month. We met for hours and hours and hours, and this went on for months. So hats off for the lousy $3,000 that we give them in question for two communities to come together on a day that's so special for us. to have that happen for $3,000 and they make it work. I was one of the ones that she sent me to the store to get Coke on the day that was at sale at one in Concord, one in Belmont, and one in somewhere else. And by gosh, we got it, and it was on sale, and we made it work. And there were a lot of cutting, and there was a lot of door knocking, and there was a lot of phone calling, and there was door to door on businesses. I mean, how many years you've been a Tilton Northville resident, Deb? I mean, a whole lot longer than some of those people on the board. Well, not Catherine and Bill, but you know, I mean, were you born and raised in Tilton? I mean, seriously, you know a lot more about the businesses and around and what you're doing here. And I couldn't find a better person to run this and do that. I don't know what the towns would do without you on this committee. So, you know, I have to say this, and for $3,000, and what is it, maybe $10,000 or $12,000 to run it on that particular day, that the total expenses for that?
That would be an estimate, yeah, between 85 and 10.
85 and 10 to run that, and hats off. Well, in another about another $400 to the town of Tilton, because that's how much we spend on candy. But that's neither here nor there, because they'll cut that next. But hats off to you, Deb. Hats off.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Glad $3,000 is just
Is there any other public input out there? Okay, well, we can come back to the board. No more public, okay, back to the board.
How long is Old Home Day in Tilton North?
Since from what I read in the files I somehow inherited, that are taken over my basement, I think 1985.
That when it started?
That's when it started. And you know, Carol Cross,
Oh, yeah.
Tony's mom, has been on the board, has been on the committee since it started. So somebody from the Cross family has been on this committee since Old Home Day began.
Seems like it's older than that.
And they're
to me,
on like
but
their fourth generation right now.
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
committee. So it's pretty amazing.
I remember running the road race in the 80s. I thought it was there before that, but.
Yeah, I think it was 80, my recollection is 84, 85. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that I've always appreciated about Old Home Day is it's people in the community. When you see that parade come down the street, no, not everybody's marching in step. Not all the bands are playing on the same note. There's floats made up, or whatever you want to call them, that are made up, and all of them are all beautiful in their own respect, that they're made from, the citizens of the town, and that. Over the years, we've had the auto fairs provided, some convertibles, and to watch somebody who got the post cane to ride in a brand new convertible. Their special day, and of that. And I like it the way it is. I'm not big for commercializing. I think it's community pride in having all of us put it together. And the $3,000, it's not even $1 a person.
It all adds up.
And I think it's a great thing for the community. I can remember many times in the town garage, cider competitions and horseshoes, all those things where everybody gets together.
Yeah, and it's
I
a great
appreciate
day.
everything that it is and that you do.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. And when you just made me think of it, we do get, like, when you talk about the records and stuff, those companies are usually the ones that do donate to us.
And auto service crossovers in their trucks and convertibles. And it seems like an auto serve commercial. That's what it felt like. I love it. I think the ceremony and all the horse pulls, I love all of it. But I just think that if it's going to be an auto serve commercial, maybe they should help out a little more.
Well, Dick, the way I look at it is in public service, you can't please all the people all the time.
It's true.
But you know what? We please most of the people with Old Home.
I just think the attitude of not looking for corporate sponsors and saying you are is just wrong. At least just admit like you don't want to. But I just didn't like the back and forth argument that you don't want to.
I could go all day with you, but I'm not going to.
Okay,
because-
thank you so much then.
But don't cut me off, but let me finish, okay?
Well, then you cut me
So
off.
when you talk about us not taking the time to get sponsors, we take as much time as we can afford with our.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all I was asking before I even said that. I asked you that question in particular. I said, do you not have the
Let her
manpower? to do that?"
finish. Why don't you let her finish, please?
Please.
She wants to argue with me all night, so we're gonna sit here. and
Well,
argue.
you're fueling it. Please just let
Well, I
her
can
speak
deal with
and
this.
then you can speak.
Okay.
All I'm gonna say is, we have 8 people. We get together, we spend countless hours stuffing envelopes. We get a list from both towns of all the businesses, okay? We spend countless hours stuffing envelopes, because we're not gonna pay Staples to do it for us because we're
Mhm.
cheap,
Okay.
okay? So we spend hours doing this. We mail them out. We don't go door to door and knock. We don't have the time to do that with.
I'm not asking to.
Ugh.
Well, you're just saying that I'm asking you
Please,
things that's
you know,
relevant.
she was speaking and you interrupted her.
Absolutely, I'm gonna keep interrupting her, because
Well,
she doesn't
then-
interrupt me, so why not?
Okay.
Because I asked you not to.
Are you my boss?
Yes, I am the
You're on
chair of the
the chair of the
board.
board.
I am the chair.
Okay,
Please listen to me.
okay.
Thank you.
So we are, if anyone is interested, we are always looking for new members.
Except me.
Well, the way you behaved on this committee, I don't think you would be a benefit or an asset to the.
Because you guys
overall
want to just use their tax
Okay,
money, not.
this is it. This is it.
But anyway, thank you
Thank you,
guys.
Deb.
Thank you very
We,
much.
we appreciate what
Thank
you
you for
do
moving it on.
for the most part.
Thank you for not taking that with me.
Coming in tonight.
Any, Ted or Christine,
Still have to vote.
did you have any more input?
No,
I don't have anything
Thank
further.
you, and I
Deb.
apologize for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening, guys.
You too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are these your paperwork here? or- Okay,
Those are,
all right, so I think you guys wanted to vote on last week's.
Absolutely. I thought we came to a consensus last year. Make sure this is in the record. We came to
No.
a consensus last year in the beginning that we were supposed to start doing and approving minutes either the meeting of or the meeting following, because last year we went through weeks and weeks and weeks. Everyone forgot. We had to find information. It was a chaos. So I just want to remind people of the chaos we had before approving last time. We had to meet right before. We had emergency meetings right before the hearing. It was a chaos.
I didn't see it that way. I
There was
mean,
an
it's
emergency
just-
meeting
it's
before the-
typical that we gather information and at the end, we have it all in front of us.
Is it
because
typical for
many
emergency
times
meetings?
Last year, we didn't have full information and we asked for that addendums and we had to wait for that.
And then they sent us
And
false
I'm
information.
not sure what's happening this year. I missed the first meeting, so I'm not sure what's the board's, like, do you want to wait or do you want to vote every week?
so last week there was a discussion about not waiting until like December or whenever to vote. There was a discussion. We didn't take a vote.
Right.
There was enough of a discussion, and there were some that expressed, I expressed, I don't want to wait, 10 or 12 weeks to vote on these, because I forget. But, we left it until this week.
Okay, I wasn't here, so I will not vote.
Hey,
So-
Bill,
Yes, Christine.
we were also waiting for a few things for what, Catherine, 2 of the people, did we get that?
There was, I think it was from CASA, there was 2 things, the other communities and how much, and I forgot the second one.
Yeah, so 2 out of the 3 that were there, we needed items from 2 of them. Janice, did we get those?
It was 2 items from CASA. I have not received those. I think she was on vacation this week, though.
But they did say they would get it back to us in the meeting, and they did not. So they did not follow through their commitment in Monday.
Was there a time specific that they were supposed to?
They said they would get it to us before this meeting. They did commit to that.
Did they?
I don't feel comfortable voting on CASA till we get that. I'd give them another week.
I'll go with the same. I agree on that.
Anybody else agree on waiting for CASA's information?
Just another part of that. Typically, we've always had our welfare director come in and state how they've worked with them in the
Mhm.
past and what benefits have been to the town to help relieve. That welfare director is usually the person sees most of this.
Uh-huh.
And,
I mean,
and we've always had her
coordinates
come
with
in
them, yeah.
and have a thing to tell us, are they working with them? Have they been doing it? We found out some information that some of them in the past a while ago weren't really providing what
Purposely.
Well, I think it's.
what we thought we were getting.
It's budget committee responsibility to have full information. I mean, sometimes we're
Within a
not
reasonable
limited to, a structure that we have to do it. We have a time period that we have to get it at the end, but there's nothing that mandates that we have to do it right now. It's up to the board opinion. Now, we have right now 2 people that want to wait for CASA's information. I say you.
We have the
I
welfare
don't
lady
wanna-
scheduled.
Why I don't want to wait is because they said they committed to a deadline. They said they would do it by a certain point. We should hold them to that. If people don't submit their application, we don't fund them. We should keep the same standard. If they say they're going to do something, give us the information, we should hold them to it. So it's an even board. So we're not looking like paying favorites from one committee to another. It just would look more transparent, more even, more fair.
Get it at some point, then we'll know.
That's not what they guaranteed. That's not what they told us. That's not what we asked for.
I don't think it's our.
Is we
It's
told them we're
really
gonna
up
vote
to
next
us
week.
to decide if we want to be hard-nosed or not. And now,
I think we
right
should.
now, you want to be hard-nosed.
Because that's the rest of the, I hold people to their word. I'm sorry you don't.
What's the rest of the?
We can take a vote.
Bill, can I just add one thing?
Sure, Janice.
And that is, in Cass's situation, and it was only Cass that has 2 things that are remaining that was requested. In defense of that, they did do a last minute fill-in for last week. And I'm sure maybe she would have caught whatever it was, I don't know. And, I think in fairness, she did us a favor. Maybe we can just nudge her a little bit more this week and see if we can get her next week.
So she came in at the last minute then, but we didn't force her to guarantee it to have it to us or say that she
John?
would. So
We
Please.
did, but I don't exactly remember
And
if she actually.
she did. She said she would have it to us.
Okay, we have your point. John?
I'd like to get information from our welfare director on programs to see.
Okay.
Agreed.
You don't mind waiting?
No.
Okay. Kathy?
Well, since I asked for the information from CASA, I'd like to see the information before I vote on CASA.
I'm sorry, Kathy.
I asked for the information from CASA, so I'd like to see it before I vote on CASA.
Can we
But
set at least a deadline then?
So
we're not waiting.
I don't want to wait 10 or 12 weeks to vote on these all at once. I think we can come up with something later, but for tonight, I'd hold off on voting for those. And as Janice said, CASA did fill in a blank.
So I see the poll of the board that right now we will wait another week. Janice will see what she can come up with. And then we'll take it up at next meeting.
That's fine. And
So we're setting a deadline for next week then?
We are setting it up to see what happens next week.
Okay, so we're not setting a deadline.
We are
And
putting it on the
Jenna
table.
Boyce did commit that she would get it to me as soon as she possibly could. I don't have a date.
Just make sure it's in the record that I asked for deadlines, please. Thank you.
She did not give me a deadline. Her actions told me, she's going to be calling me in a few days.
Okay. We can follow up.
Okay, so there were a couple other groups that you met. Did you want to vote on those? John?
I'd like to make a motion that we fund the Old Home Day to the amount of $3,000.
We have to vote on that next week. That's.
Well, we can wait on that, but.
Here's us about last week.
What we're
I'll
looking,
second.
last week.
It was
What was my request was that you people talked to 3 people last week?
Lakes Region Mental Health,
Yeah.
Tilton Northfield Rec Council, and CASA.
And the minutes reflect that you wanted to vote on it this week. That's what's on the board right now. We can take that up after
It's been seconded.
these.
So we have a motion on the floor in a second.
Would you mind withdrawing that so we finish with what was actually on the table, which was last week's issues?
Yeah,
that-
I'll bring it up later.
Okay, if you just withdraw those.
I'm going to withdraw that.
You too, Christine?
Yes, I withdraw.
We will bring that up after we deal with the other 2 agencies that were on the minutes to deal with.
Bill,
Yes.
I just want to say something before we vote on any. I know we're going to vote on a couple. Being that COVID happened and a lot of people got extra funds and sustained them through that period, it is our chance to reduce some of the budget, but we need to be fair across the board and have no favoritism to a particular group we like and then give zero to another. If we start giving, just my opinion, if we start giving zeros for this year instead of just, half or reducing or whatnot, next year it's going to be a very hard hit on the townspeople. So I just wanted to make sure that people knew that this is a chance to reduce our budget only because of COVID happening and all the loans. But I feel like there's going to be some things that are going to try to erase the budget line altogether, and I don't know if that's going to be feasible as a budget person for following years.
Yes, thank you,
That's
Christine.
all.
Yeah, we noticed some of these groups tonight didn't have that in their budget, so we've asked to see that, to see how that impacted their budget. So I
Right,
think
and that might have happened to who we're going to vote on. I don't know if they showed PPP, and there's a lot of loans I happen to know about because of my position, and SBA and PPP and the state funding for especially the medical fields and whatnot. I don't know if we brought that up on the two we may vote on and if it's in their budget. I need to see how it affected their budget. Well, I know I need to see it, but because they don't have to pay certain ones back. I know which ones don't have to be paid, and I know which ones have to be paid back. And
I think Janice has
how
something
pay them.
to say to that.
Yeah.
Christine and Bill and the board, just one comment on that is, it was very specific in the request to spell out the COVID monies, because that was.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I agree. I'm not sure it's been as crystal clear as I stressed in the letter that I sent to them. So if you want to come with that with all of them and tell them we want a complete analysis of what they received for grants and funds for COVID, I mean, we can send it to all of those that have presented so far, and the 4 that are presenting next week as a reminder that please be prepared, and that's how it was phrased, that we need information. I mean,
No, that'll be a waste of your time. I just had taxes right now, so I'm being a little bit more involved, and I will ask them personally.
No one asked last week about that? About PPP, PPPE?
Oh, no, they did.
Did they all
Did we get
give us a
specific information?
perspective on that? Yeah.
Well, I put a motion to fund Lakes Region Mental Health Center for $5.
Is there a second? Hearing none, we'll take another motion.
How about a motion Lakes Region Mental Health Center for $0? I was trying to keep the line item open, but.
Is there a second? Hearing none. Anyone else?
Why don't the board has any discussion regarding it as to what their feelings are? That would be, I think, would be good to start with to see where everybody's falling.
I usually like to get
have discussion.
To get a discussion, but if we have no second, we don't need to discuss it.
So Lakes Region Mental Health Center funding for $5. Anyone want to second that? Open up the discussion.
Is there a second?
I'll give them a second to discuss it.
You want a second? Okay. Okay, discussion.
Yay.
It's a big budget they're working with, and they've already said it won't affect any of their services or needs or anything. And they've got a lot of money coming in from insurance and PPE loans and everything else. And I think they're 100% okay with not having our money this year. It's not going to affect their services. That's what I always ask. It's my coin term. They said it's not. So I say we do not fund it this year. Help out the families in town.
Any other discussion?
I was thinking on the lines of cutting to 50%, but I don't know about 0.
Okay, yeah. Catherine said she might consider reducing by half.
Yeah, because they get 1.2 mil in charitable services alone, and another 1.1 mil. I forget where that one came from. They didn't serve, how many people they served was 4,089, and 165 was Tilton. So I'm definitely for reducing it a little significant.
Especially when we have like good stuff like Old Home Days and other stuff we couldn't be spending the money on. The last thing we need to do is give $1 million company more money.
Sure.
Because they're struggling businesses, small businesses like yourself, Bill, that
John?
out there.
We have the amount that we gave them last year.
On the spreadsheet in the front.
Last year, 3,000.
3,000, isn't it?
Yeah, we cut that in half last year, I believe.
Yeah.
We've been giving them 3,000 since 2018,
Yeah, that wasn't the one. So, no.
right? When was it?
Yeah. Yes.
This is our year to cut it down. I mean, $3,000 is nothing. to
Yeah, I
them.
mean,
It
that's
doesn't
what
affect
we're
their
talking
services.
about, with people that are getting, government assistance. We can save on that too.
Yeah.
So what was the amount that we gave them last year? Was it 3,000?
Last year funded 3,000, yeah.
And what did they request last?
3,000.
3,000. Yeah.
8,000.
Well,
John, what do you feel about how much to give to them? Catherine said hers.
I'm going to make a motion to amend the amount to $1,500, which would be half.
this is millionaires, guys. We're giving $1,500 to, or $1 million company. We're giving $1,500 to.
Yeah,
there-
I was thinking more like 5 to 1,000. Yeah.
I was thinking $500 would be a stretch, you know.
I was gonna ask Christine what her opinion was. She's the accountant.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Basic.
can't do, I mean, in my opinion, $5 is, yeah, they get a lot of money, but we can't just start zeroing these out, because the future, we don't know what's going to happen. They did give us a very good overview of all the funds they do get, and they are a big conglomerate. I mean, my opinion is more like maximum 1,000, 500 to 1,000.
We have an amendment.
But I don't think you got a
I
second.
It didn't
did
get a
not get a
second.
second.
You want to
so
try another
that would
amendment?
die. Yeah, that 15.
750?
I'll make a motion.
Amendment.
A motion to amend the, was it $5 to $1,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Christine seconded it.
I make another amendment to amend that to $500, because I think that would be really a stretch there.
First,
Again,
we need to vote on
Oh,
that
sorry.
amendment,
sorry.
and then we can amend the amendment.
Okay.
All those in favor of $1,000, amending the $5 to $1,000? Say aye.
What
Aye.
was the question, Bill? I'm sorry.
Amendment on the floor is to amend the original $5 to $1,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's, I'm not voting, so you guys.
So we're voting on the 1,000.
We're
Yes,
voting
yeah.
on the amendment.
Amendment to make the
Original.
reducing the original request from 3,000 to 1,000.
And I seconded to that, didn't I?
Yes.
To reduce it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dick went and was going to say another amendment, and that's why I'm getting confused at what's going on.
First, we have to vote on your amendment. So all those in favor of that amendment, say aye.
Could you take a roll call vote, please?
Should have a roll call vote. Yep, okay. Christine,
Yes.
Ted,
Yep.
Catherine Dawson,
Yes.
Vic, nay, John,
Yes.
and I will not vote. So it looks like the amendment passes.
I think it's a $1 million company.
Okay, so do you want to make another amendment?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to $500.
Okay. Dick is moving to reduce the 1,000 to 500. Is there a second?
I'll give him a second.
Catherine says as a second. Discussion.
Yeah, this is a big company, guys. I get that we're trying to cut money, but they're not going to notice even any of this. I get we're trying to keep the line item open, let's do it with $250 or 500. I mean, 1,000, that's, that extra comma, that comma's in there, that's stinging, so. I
Yeah.
just think it's better. It's just a more reasonable method. Don't need it. We're already giving a 5,000 super fee, so.
Decrease.
Any
Net
other
asset.
discussion? Christine?
No discussion.
Oh, meaning they've got 4 million in assets.
Reading that correct. 1,000 assets, also $500.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt. I am kind of lost. I'm having some connective issues here. We're voting, we voted to cut it, right?
The 1,000, and now we're
I thought we were voting
500.
against cutting it.
Now we're voting to cut it again.
Because they have.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to vote to cut it down. I thought we were voting not to cut it down, but.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to change that original vote?
My initial vote was supposed to be nay, so there was a mix-up communication on that. I apologize for the service on my end.
Okay, that's
So that's
still,
3 yes, 2 no.
I think it passed. So now we're on the next amendment, which is to reduce it even further from 1,000 to 500. And we have a motion on the floor in a second, and we have discussion. Any other discussion? Okay, we're going to do another roll call vote.
I'm sorry, who was that? Second that.
Catherine.
I did.
Okay.
So in favor of reducing it to from 1,000 to 500, Ted?
No, I'm against it, nay.
Christine?
Sorry. Can you move on? And then I'm thinking about it.
Catherine?
Yes.
Catherine says yes. Dick?
Yes.
John?
No.
No, okay, so
Give the $1 million top
1, 2, right, we're 2-2 right now.
John.
So Christine, you're the decider.
Gave over 9
million.
I'm going to say
Yes?
yes. Yes.
Okay, so the motion passes to reduce it to 500. All right, let's go on to the next one. What was the next group?
Field Recreational Council.
Hang on, that was a
No, no.
motion to amend,
Oh, sorry.
so you spoke about the original motion.
Okay, so now we will vote, what was it? Was it
Lakes Region Mental
Lakes
Health.
Region Mental
Okay.
Health.
Cutting the
We're
funding to
voting to allocate $500 to Lakes Region Mental Health Center. Yeah, so, and we have who made the motion?
I did.
You had a motion?
No, no.
and
The original
second?
motion? Yeah, it was.
A second. And, okay, all those in favor, we'll do another roll call vote. We'll start with Ted.
Nay.
Christine?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Yes.
John?
No.
Okay, so we have 3 to.
We won.
Yeah, okay, so that passes at 500. Okay, what was the next group that you interviewed?
Tilton Northfield Rec Council.
Okay. All right. You want to vote on that now, or do you want to wait?
I don't think they were.
Move to approve the amount requested of $69,750 because they really do work hard. We underfunded them last year because we didn't give them the amount they requested, I believe, last year. We gave them a little bit short of it because they ended up having some change of staff and it was cheaper.
Hang on.
Point of order.
Do we have a second? Oh, point of order.
Point of order. Could you keep the motion
Sorry.
to the number, not into the discussion?
Thank you, yes. We'll make it a lot shorter.
It'll make it
Okay, is there a
easier.
second to the motion to fund it at their full request?
I'll second that.
Second, okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think I did it with my motion.
You did,
Sorry.
yes.
Sorry.
Any other discussion?
I have a little bit. I mean, they said they were closed for COVID and they're just barely opening now, correct?
They had summer camps all summer. They had programs running the whole.
So
They run PPE and they had to wear face masks all summer long. They complained about the face masks, I believe.
I'm not sure.
they reopened in June 15th. So they were closed March to June 15th. And they didn't provide the emergency childcare because they weren't essential till they got approved or something like that. They have to when they opened, then they did 9 weeks. They closed to do a full cleaning. They missed their large fundraisers. They did get the PPP, which they do not have to pay back. I think it should be lower because of how much they didn't spend this year. They didn't return any funds that I'm aware of, and so I don't know. I got to look in this book to see what they have.
Pretty bare bones budget.
Did they give you a breakdown of what they saved, or?
They didn't give us a breakdown of what they saved. I'm sure they gave us a budget. I'm trying to find it on this page here, but I didn't have my book last week.
John, do you have a point?
Yes.
Here's the.
Hang on, John's
I'm
talking.
sorry.
Yeah.
She did discuss that they didn't receive funds for people enrolling into a lot of these programs. That's a good percentage of where their income.
Right.
And that was one of the things. They did spend some money on the protective things, and also they've haven't been able to rent out their facilities.
Okay.
And the other programs.
So revenues have been hit too.
I forgot.
We got $36,555 for the program for COVID.
Did you hear that, Christine?
It was what?
36,000 plus for the Paycheck Protection Program.
So they're under the 50,000. They definitely don't have to pay it back.
Right.
That's not a heck of a lot, really, but
it isn't.
I'm still looking through. Does it show, Catherine, how much they had in their account right now? I don't see them in this book.
Yeah, it's in there, but.
Are they Recreation Council?
Yeah, you got it. Then they received 6,000. Child Care Recovery and Stabilization Program, COVID-19.
Okay, here's the general fund, yeah. Okay, so they don't say what they have as of, like say June 30th, 20. They have 19, 18, and 17. So they have capital reserve 57.5 and general fund 27,000. They did say they gave the town of Tilton got a couple extra scholarships this year, didn't they?
Total of 2 children, $1,004.
Okay, I think we'll move to the vote. Someone wants to amend this provision? Or unless you want to wait and ask for some more information?
Let's call vote.
Okay.
What is the motion on the table? The 69?
Full
funding.
60, yeah.
Okay.
With a raise for this.
Okay, we'll start with Christine.
Nay.
Ted?
I apologize. What was the last part?
To give the Recreation Council the 60, their full request.
Nay.
Nay. Okay, Catherine?
Nay.
Good. John? Okay, so we're at the motion fails. So what can we do to make people feel like, what do you need?
Would you guys want to just fund the same amount as last year and not give the raise instead of 69,000, do the 67,250, the same as last year? So no services are
Christine,
affected.
is there anything that you think you need to know that would give you a better perspective on?
This would
Yeah. Did they say, so they lost it, so they're, what did they do with the money we gave them for 2020? And they were closed from March to thing. And I know I got the point where they didn't do some fundraisers and they didn't get some fees. Did they say they're open for emergency childcare now or no? Because they said they couldn't even do that.
They are.
Just said the
They are
program
approved.
closed March 15th due to COVID.
And reopened June 15th.
Population starting September 10th. And then below it, it said be open with a limited population August 24th.
But they
Their
did summer
vacation
programs.
days.
But they did the summer programs and stuff over the summer.
No, it says here.
Where? Yeah, no.
So
They
there's
couldn't because they weren't allowed to be open.
Page says they were closed. Oh,
She
wait
said-
a minute.
a statement that she was wearing a
What's
mask for the summer.
ACB and BCB allowed to open? So maybe just two things were allowed to open.
And if
I
we
think
cut-
they were open for 9 weeks, June 15th, and then they had to close again, and then they had to open up for the, whatever, the September.
Just remember that when we asked them if it would affect services, we cut their funding, they said yes.
This page is confusing.
If we're cutting services, it's
Not
going to affect their services
holding
that
up
they
to
offer to, still
what
offer
they
to.
said.
I always try to keep that as my first line. Is it going to affect the services?
Well, I think they need to raise their services to, it seems like they help more of Northfield than they do Tilton. Brittany has done she's been the best thing that ever happened to that place. But I just don't know where the money, the $67,250 we gave them when they weren't open most of the year. That's just my opinion.
Is there a way, how would we create a fair deduction?
Didn't they kind of cover that in the meeting though a little?
I wasn't here.
Like, I can't remember. I kind of vague, a little bit fuzzy on that meeting.
I took notes, so.
Would you want to report back, Christine, next meeting on that?
Sure, if I can maybe send a question to Janice to see if they can give a little bit more light on that.
Okay, great. Why don't we put that up till next?
On what they spent, let's get on more light on what they spent. Where did the money go from last year to this year? And did they save any money, especially with the PPA loan they got? Did they save any money?
Correct. Yeah, they've got 36,000.
How much money materialized to be?
And how much did that?
Right.
Their current.
Because that should be moved to, since they didn't use it for 2020, whatever the balance, this is 67,000, and you're talking from us and from Northfield. Where did
loss of revenue? So we just need to take that into account.
Yep.
Right. So
we do want to retain.
I would be more comfortable giving it a week, and I'm going to ask Janice to send them a question regarding that.
Okay,
you got that question, Janice?
Could we ask
Cool.
them
She's
to
got the
clarify this page of, I don't know what ACB and BCB.
How much did they ask for last year?
They asked for 67,250.
You see the page I'm talking about? No, I didn't get.
They're asking for the same amount this year, correct?
They're asking for a bit more than 2,000 more. They're asking for 69,750, and that's to give Brittany Stewart who's excellent raise.
Okay, thank you.
Very small.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think staff needs any raises when it's a tight budget and they didn't work that much in 2020. So I just want to know the monies they received for Tilton and Northfield for 2020, what did they do with it? That's what I want to know.
Okay, great. And either you or Janice are going to handle that? Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will go to the last item for tonight, which is John's previous motion. Would you like to make another motion? On Old Home Day?
And that was to fund Old Home Day at their request amount of $3,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
And a third. Okay, any discussion?
I just wanted to be in the notes that they did not ask the manufacturing they said they asked when she was sitting at the table. That's why I'm frustrated.
Can you prove that they did?
Yeah, absolutely. I work at
Okay.
3M and I'm the guy that deals with it. She never asked it. When she said she asked.
Do you get the requests?
Yes, I would.
Okay, you get them.
Yes, I do. They would come across my desk.
Okay. All right, well, so that's one.
So that was why I have an issue with it. She just lied during the presentation.
Well, no, we could,
No, she
should
lied.
we get the list of who they do send to?
Absolutely. Can we please get that list that she said she sent?
I will ask, I'll ask Deborah for that.
Can we wait till next week to vote then, please?
Okay, with,
Your motion on the table.
we have a motion on, okay, so, and there's a second. Okay, so we will do a roll call vote, unless there's more discussion.
So on the one hand, we want more information. We still have a motion
Well,
on the table.
What we want to know is basically who are the businesses that they send
They
to,
contacted,
which
okay.
would be nice, but that doesn't really do anything about the monetary situation.
No, not at all.
So we'll start a roll call vote. We'll start with Ted. We're voting on $3,000 for Old Home Day.
We're voting to approve it?
Yes.
Yes, aye.
Okay, Christine.
Aye.
Yes. Catherine.
Yes.
I will vote on this one. I vote yes.
Even though we're voting yes, even though we said yes, because I know.
This is not a financial thing, that it doesn't matter.
Okay, we're just not getting all the
Yes.
details before we
Yeah.
vote. That's all.
Yes.
But I will
I'm a
have
no.
that, I will have the list for you.
Okay.
So,
Just know we voted without all the information
Yes,
on this one.
yes.
Please put that in the record, Janice.
what was
Just
the point?
remember, these votes can be.
I'm just saying that we made, I just want to know we have a pattern. So how we make decisions, I just want there to be a pattern and be consistent. So we're fair to everybody, because we're not fair now with the pattern and consistency.
So the motion passes, and Dick would like to make another comment.
No, yeah.
And how, please elucidate, because I don't quite understand
All right,
how the
so-
pattern is not consistent.
It's not consistent. But
How,
we
just
I
tell
had
us
that.
how, don't just keep saying
We just
that.
don't argue. So
Well,
you're not-
I just want you to tell me
Well, the
how.
pattern's not consistent because we, instead of waiting for all the information like we did with others, we didn't. We just decided to go ahead. But I'm just letting you know the pattern is not consistent. When we don't have all the information present, which we did not know all this information, we still passed. So I was just wanting that in the record, that we did something without knowing the information. In some places, we asked for all the information.
I will just make my comment, which was the information before, which we asked, was actual financials. This is not any kind of a financial prerequisite. to
Not
that-
always
to that
true.
vote. Thank you.
That's not always.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Before we do that, Bill,
Yes.
did we vote on Island Concert Series last week, Catherine and John?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to check it off because I couldn't remember.
Okay.
Yes, we did. It's not on our list.
It's some of that, it's last thing on. the-
Was it for 2000?
There's a full amount.
I think it was 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I
Yes, I believe-
have one question.
Okay, sure.
Just, information wise, so the Board of Selectmen, this is a joint meeting. It used to be in the past that they would announce it as a meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Is that what?
No.
In the past, we used to do that so that we could ask questions and discuss and et cetera. Board of Selectmen. If not, then, yeah, any Board of Selectmen that joins us is public. They're public. So I didn't know if you were,
It was not noticed as a
Okay.
selectman.
okay, that's just me
They're
being
invited
curious.
to and
Public.
It is noted, it was noticed as a selectmen's joint meeting with the budget committee. It has been just the last couple of meetings, that the last couple of years, it's been exactly noticed exactly the way it has been. We do this jointly.
Budget committee meeting,
Yeah,
Wednesday, October 14th, doesn't say anything about selectmen.
yeah.
But on the selectmen end, we join the budget committee, and it's been a joint meeting, and we've done this for the last 6 years or so, 6 or 7 years, where we join in so that the outside agencies don't have to come twice.
Yeah, that
Sure what
has been the last few years.
I guess what Catherine is, has it been noticed properly in the select board?
No,
Along with it. It
Was not.
hasn't actually, to the best of my knowledge, but it is known that we do attend
Right.
to.
And
to
it's
help.
just,
They're always welcome
it doesn't, it's
to
like Bill
help,
said, yeah.
help the budget. It's just that it's not a
And
selectmen's meeting, it's a budget
In
committee
the,
meeting.
in the chairman reign of the budget committee reigns over the.
It's just a technicality, so the, if the selectmen are attending as public and not as, a board of selectmen's meeting,
A decision.
then a chair of the budget committee could say, we're not taking any public input. I highly doubt that would happen, especially with Bill as chair, but I'm just saying it could. So for me, it's just a technicality.
Okay, great. Thank you all for coming.
I do have one thing I'd like to say, and as a member, I mean, it's hard to hear anything when everyone, are arguing with these committees coming in to ask for these funds. I mean, especially when I'm over the phone, I've got lost twice because of the arguments. I mean, if we could keep it down or, be a little bit more respectful to people.
Maintain a little more order, Ted. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all for enduring the virtual.
Did we get a motion to adjourn?
And we have a motion for adjourn.
Second in that.
Second.
No.
Second.
Your third. Okay, we got it. Thank you. See you next week.
Good night.
Voting, yeah,
All those-
adjourned, yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Aye.
Aye.
Good
Aye,
night.
aye, aye. I didn't even think we had to say that.
Janice video?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Jeez, I'm getting old.
Aren't we all?
I gotta loosen up just.
Yeah, I painted for 8 hours.
This conference will now be recorded.
I'll tell you how I want it run.
I know, I get it.
I'm